Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Karen Swim with Solo PR Pro, and I'm so excited on this International Women's Day to be joined by Gabrielle Tenaglia, the head of marketing for Lettuce, who is going to walk us through S-Corps. A few notes. Yes, you will be able to view this after the session has ended, and we will send out all that information. We'll push it out on our social channels as well as email. And yes, you can ask questions during this session. If you are connected to our StreamYard stream via the Facebook group or LinkedIn and you register, you should be able to post a comment and we will be watching that. We're so glad that you are here with us today. Let's go. I'll turn it over to Gabrielle.
Thank you so much, Karen. I am thrilled to be here with you today and so grateful for your partnership in putting this important information out to your folks at Solo PR. I'm going to start by telling you a little bit about me and telling you why I'm so passionate about S-Corps and helping other solos understand the importance of S-Corps for their business. I am, like many of you, a career marketer, and I have been a freelancer 4 different times in my career. I spent a long time working at agencies. I'm working on everything from big global companies to small San Francisco startups. And then since leaving the agency world, I've spent a lot of time both working as a freelancer and in-house at different startups in the Bay Area, including Omada Health, Lyft, BetterUp, Globality, and Tile. I have 4 different times in my career been a freelancer, fractional consulting. I've been a business owner like all of you. I have done it I have had a career of many chapters. I have small kids. We all have reasons why we want to make changes in our lives and in our careers at different times. And I will say that in those times, I have learned that I have been a chronic overpayer of taxes. I tell you this so that you can learn from my mistakes, but I have probably overpaid taxes by about $100,000 over the course of my career. This is my back of envelope math. And when I think about it, it's a little painful because I have 2 kids who could use that money in their 529 college plans. And I wish I had it. But going out and telling people like yourselves about this strategy for helping you save money on taxes and make your business more profitable makes it just a tiny bit less painful for me. So we're here to talk about S-Corps. And the first question that lots of folks ask is, what is an S-Corp and why should I care about it? Why does it matter for my business? Some of you may know this information. I'm going to go all the way back to what the different types of business entities that you could set up are and why an S-Corp can help you financially, to help you understand the difference it can make for you. When you first go out on your own, lots of folks are sole proprietors. This is what I did for many years and on multiple different occasions. It's the default status. You can just decide you're a freelancer. You don't have to set anything up. You can decide, like, I'm running a business now, and have people pay you directly. There's no setup required for this, but you also don't have any liability protection or get any tax benefits as a sole proprietor. In fact, it costs you money from a tax perspective to be a sole proprietor, and we'll talk about why in a couple of minutes. You could file an LLC. I talk to lots of solos who have this. There seems to be some base level understanding that, like, it's good to have an LLC. It gives you some protection, which is true. You file with your state. Your LLC is a legal entity that's governed by your state. It gives you a corporate status. You get an EIN. It gives you a legal status. You get an EIN number. Companies pay your EIN number instead of paying you personally. It can provide liability protection, but only if you correctly do the compliance of separating your business and personal finances. Lots of folks have an LLC, but don't take this step. And so if they were challenged, they don't actually have the liability protection that they think they have. You also have to do a bunch of work, filing yearly renewals, paying the fees. If you don't do that, you don't get the protection. The thing that we're going to talk the most about today is an S-Corp. An S-Corp is a tax filing status that's filed with the IRS. People don't always understand that the LLC is a legal status filed with your state. An S-Corp is a tax status filed with the IRS. What this does is it tells the IRS that they should tax you as a corporation. So there's a whole different set of tax rules for this kind of tax filing status than there are for LLCs and sole proprietors. You have to have a corporate status like an LLC to file this, a legal status to file this S-Corp election. And S-Corp elections have some restrictions on them. They are designed for smaller companies. The intention of this is to help smaller companies be more financially successful. So you have to have less than 100 shareholders. You can also have just one. There are many S-Corps with single owners, single members. It's not a good structure if you intend to take your company public or have hundreds of shareholders own shares in your business. The really interesting part about an S-Corp is that you are not subject to federal corporate taxes like you are as a C-Corp, and it lowers your self-employment tax. If you were to choose a C-Corp, and I'm not going to talk very much about these other than to tell you, there is a double taxation with a C-Corp. You have to pay the federal corporate taxes, which are, I think, going up to 28% in this next year. And then when you take income from the corporation, you pay taxes, all your federal and state taxes on that income. So you get taxed twice on the same money. It's a reason why it's not a great setup for solos. So I want to talk specifically about the self-employment tax because this is the first benefit that you have as an S-Corp. It reduces the self-employment tax. I did not understand what the self-employment tax was the first few times I freelanced. It's very typical in the first year of someone to go out on their own to have this realization when taxes are due that they owe a lot more than they thought they would, and this is why. There is something called the FICA tax or the self-employment tax, which is the rate is 15.3%. It's made up of two things. The first piece is Social Security tax, and that's 12.4%. It's capped in 2024 at $168,600, which is up 5.2% in 2024 over last year. And the second piece of it is a Medicare tax of 2.9%. And that doesn't have a cap. And actually, that tax rate increases 0.9% over certain thresholds. And it's about $200,000, but it differs if you're married, filing jointly, singly, or if you're if you're a single filer. So when you are employed, this tax, the FICA tax, that's what it's called on your pay stub, is split with your employer. You pay half, which is 7.65%, and your employer pays half. When you are self-employed, the government sees you as the employee and the employer, and you pay both parts. So just going out on your own costs you an extra 7.65% right off the bat if you don't do anything to reduce that tax. So there's actually a tax on being self-employed versus being a W-2 employee. Now, the first benefit that people see of having an S-Corp is it reduces your self-employment taxes, and I'm going to explain how. If you are self-employed and you make $250,000, and let's say these numbers are simplified, the actual calculations of this are slightly different, but your personal income would be seen by the government as being $250,000. The self-employed tax rate is $15,300, and your taxes on that $250,000 would be about $26,000. This is adjusted taking into account the cap for the Social Security. You only pay up to $168,000 with that Social Security, but the Medicare continues. If you have an S-Corp, what happens is you split your income, into two buckets, into a salary and an owner's distribution. There's a bit of a formula for how you have to do this. You look at competitive rates for the jobs that you do in your market at your expertise level. You establish a salary. And you take that salary as a W-2 employee of your business. You become a W-2 employee of your business. So you will actually get a W-2 from your company at the end of the year. You only pay the self-employment tax on that salary. The owner's distribution, which is your second bucket, is subject to state and federal taxes, but it is not subject to that self-employment tax because you take it as an owner of the business, not as an employee. So you would pay $15,300 of the Social Security and Medicare tax on your salary. That's a difference right off the top of $11,538, which is real money. When my financial advisor, the third time I was freelancing, finally told me about this and the benefits of an S-Corp, I thought, oh my God, I could pay a preschool tuition. I could hire an after-school babysitter. We could go to Hawaii. Like it's a real amount of money. Now, if you actually go and do the calculations, and we have a tax calculator, the link is here, and Karen can put the link for that in the chat as well. It will actually turn up, depending on your income and your state, it might turn up, I should say, a larger number than just that FICA tax reduction. There are other reductions. There's something called qualified business income deduction. There are a few other things that can make that some payroll tax savings that can make that number bigger. I took that same $250,000 salary and I said, okay, I went to the tax calculator and said, okay, if I work in the marketing industry, I am a sole proprietor today. I make $250,000. I'm single and I live in Texas. What are my savings? And it would save you $15,630 to have an S-Corp. A lot of people ask, is it worth it? It's good to take a look at the number and decide for yourself. Now, the reason people ask, is it worth it, is because it requires a lot of extra work. When my financial advisor told me about an S-Corp and I realized how much money I would save, I said, great, this is amazing. What do I have to do? And she gave me all the forms and she said, you've got to file this, you've got to get an LLC, you have to set up an S-Corp. Okay, I can fill out forms, it's fine. But then she started saying, and then you have to figure out how to pay yourself payroll. And I could not even imagine finding the time to do that. I said, you mean I've got this money that my client just paid me that's sitting in my bank account, and I've got to figure out how to pay myself payroll on the money that I already have? At the time, I had 2 small kids. I was working probably 60 or 70 hours a week doing work that I loved for clients who were amazing. And I was now trying to do the mental math of thinking about, I'm going to now spend my weekends trying to figure out how to pay myself payroll in my business from money that's sitting there. I could not get over that hump. The work you have to do to manage an S-Corp is to set up your LLC, your operating agreement, your EIN, file the S-Corp election. You have to register yourself as an employer in your state. And then you have to do all of these annual compliance filings. It's not a one and done. There is sort of a yearly renewal that has to happen. Then you have to do a bunch of things with your taxes, like estimated quarterly tax payments, which you should be doing anyway as someone who's self-employed. You have to figure out your reasonable salary. You have to do a yearly business tax filing and file these 1120S forms and a K-1. You have to set up payroll. This was my big barrier. You have to file now that you're set up as an employer, you have to file new hire reports with the state. You have to set up and run payroll. You have to withhold required payroll taxes. You have to prepare and file quarterly payroll reports. You have to issue and file W-2s to yourself. And then you have to do all of the bookkeeping and accounting that proves that you're being compliant with all of these requirements. And that also are kind of the typical hygiene that you should be doing as a solo. But I can tell you, honestly, I was not keeping up with, and most people I talk to don't do a great job of this over the course of the year anyway. I put all my receipts in a folder. I had 3 different systems. Paper receipts, I put in a folder. I took pictures of some and kept them in a file. And then other ones, I had email receipts that I would also put in a folder. And at the end of the year, I was always trying to figure it out because I never really knew how much I was going to be able to deduct at the end of the year to help me save on taxes. This is a lot of work. And this is why lots of folks choose not to do an S-Corp. And this is why often accountants will tell you as a solo not to do it. They don't have expertise in business of one taxes, and they don't always know how much you can save. Until now, it's been very complicated, manual, and tedious to run an S corporation. All of those things I just told you about were barriers for me personally. They are why I decided not to do it. Accountants can't charge high rates. There are some amazing accountants out there who do this work for their clients. They can't charge high rates for a lot of this work because it is bookkeeping work. It's not strategic work in their business that they can charge their typical CPA rates for, or they just don't want to manage it. They don't want to have to hire a team of bookkeepers to help you do this. And also, they don't want to clean up your mistakes at the end of the year. I talked to a former IRS auditor about S-Corps when I started working with Lettuce. And what he said to me is, when we saw people doing a DIY S-Corp, we knew there were mistakes in it. We knew there would be an opportunity to do that audit and find a fine in those. And accountants know this, and they don't want to manage it. There are other benefits and strategies to S-Corps. I'm going to go through these quickly because I want to make sure we have some time to talk at the end. When you are a W-2 employee and you pay payroll taxes, some states will also make, in the eligibility requirements, if you're paying those taxes, you can get paid family leave. If I had known this when my kids were little and I took a full-time job so that I could have that paid family leave time, you can get the same state benefits as an S-Corp in some states. You can take healthcare deductions in a different way. Your S-Corp can pay the health insurance premiums for you, which are a tax-free benefit and not subject to payroll taxes. And then you can deduct those premiums as a business expense. There's also a similar strategy with retirement contributions. When you set up a solo 1K, you can contribute as an employee and an employer and deduct it as a business expense. There are a bunch of additional strategies depending on your income and goals that once you have an S-Corp set up, you can take advantage of those strategies when you're planning for retirement. All of the corporate strategies that are available to companies are now available to you. There are a number of other advantages of having an S-Corp. And just like I'm telling you with healthcare and retirement, they are strategies that are built for corporations to reduce their tax burden. You now, as an individual with a small business that is set up as a corporation, can take advantage of those same strategies. The challenge is right now, not a lot of people know about these things, and they are complicated and difficult to do on your own. These are what I'm describing are the barriers for solopreneurs to having an S-Corp. And I've told you my personal story about what my barriers were. The first challenge is you just don't understand what is out there and what's available for you to do. I have yet to find a good go-to resource for people who are setting out on their own to manage their taxes and finances. There's no one single source of information that is clear, understandable, actionable. Even when you know what you want to do, it's impossible to find the time to do it. I knew that if I did these things, I could save tens of thousands of dollars. I could not figure out where I was going to find the time between my life and my business to manage it all. And then the last barrier that folks often have is many of us do this, get into the world of being our own boss because we want to have more control over our money, over our lives, over the kinds of decisions that get made about our finances. We don't want someone else to be in control of those things. And it is very difficult to give up control and say, I'm going to give you my income and you're going to take care of it. And I'm going to just trust that you're going to make the best decisions. And so a lot of people don't do this because they don't know what to do. They don't have the time to do it. And they want to keep decision-making control and power over their businesses. And we have built Lettuce to serve these people. We have created an intelligent system that automates all this work for you of the business setup, the finance and accounting, the tax filing and payments, and gives you a dashboard where you can see your income, expenses, and deductions that gives you an up-to-date snapshot of your cash flow, predictions of your income and tax payments, and recommendations, proactive recommendations for the right tax saving strategies for you. How many emails and phone calls does it take you to get a hold of your accountant to ask a couple of simple questions? I know that I typically talk to my accountant during one small window during the year when it's tax time. And at that time, they're often telling me, like, you should put an account, you should do this, you should do that. And I always feel like I wish maybe you had told me that when I actually, before I spent that money, when I actually had it sitting in my account before I made other plans for it. So here's what Lettuce actually looks like. We start with that education and guidance piece. Not only do we spend a lot of time doing this, webinars, education, tax calculators, things that help you understand your business, but we have an AI accountant launching in Q2 of this year where you can go in and ask all these questions. What's different about this tool versus other ones that are out there on the market right now from bigger companies is that this is specifically trained only on a knowledge database of information for solopreneurs, businesses of one, people like yourselves who are. So it can be very specific and focused about the kinds of answers it is giving you. Then we give you back your time. We automate the actual manual kind of accounting and bookkeeping work that has to happen for you to get these benefits and be in compliance with all of the rules. You get this dashboard that you run your business off of. You can click into any one of these windows and understand in detail where your money is, where it's going, how much you owe, what your tax obligations are at any given time based on the amount of money you have earned in this year. And as time goes on, we'll be able to see the fluctuations in your business, if there's a seasonality in your business, and help you project out into the future what your taxes might look like. We also give you this dashboard that's called Flow of Funds, where you are able to see one of the things that we do at Lettuce is we open a business bank account for you. And we actually, when you have a payment come in, we say, here's how we'd recommend splitting up that payment. This is what your income is. Here's what you should set aside for taxes based on what you're going to owe. You told us you wanted to save for vacation and business expenses. Here's what we recommend, breaking it into these buckets. And we will put that money into those special accounts for you. And you can say, actually, I need the cash now. I'm not going to do the vacation savings with this payment. I'm going to wait and like top it up next time, or maybe I'm going to change my plans altogether, take a cheaper vacation, or save for it later in the year. I want that money in my income. Or I've had people tell me, I never pay my quarterly estimated taxes. I wait until the end of the year and then figure it out. Which is becoming a bigger and bigger challenge because the penalty, I think, is up to about 8% now. But some people just prefer to make those financial decisions, and you can control that all from here. We will always tell you what we recommend, but you make the decisions. So if you sign up with Lettuce, you get a couple of things. We guarantee when you're signing up, you saw that tax calculator number. When you're signing up and you give us a projected income number for the year, we tell you, if you make that income, we promise you're going to save X amount of money, that $11,000 or the $15,000 that was that number for that particular example. And if you don't save that amount of money, we will refund your fees. You get your money back. There's no risk. You get a free LLC and S-Corp setup. A lot of companies will charge you up to $500 for that. We charge you nothing. You get free business bank account and debit card, no transaction fees. You get continually updated tax estimates. We can execute your quarterly tax payments for you. There is $0 to cost to you to set this all up. You don't pay until it's all up and running. If because you've attended this webinar, we can give you a month free. I'm going to ask Karen to share a list for me of everyone who's registered to see it in case, so we can match it back and give you your free month. We are also offering a couple other special things right now. You can sign up, and Karen's put this link also in the chat for a free 2023 tax return plus a business assessment from us. You can come in, do a free tax return through a partner called Column Tax, who we're working with on this particular offer. You can either use that return to file. You can use it as a second opinion on what you're already doing. We will then take the data, the earnings information there, and do a business assessment for you. We will look at how your business is set up, what deductions you're taking, how you're handling retirement, how you're handling healthcare payments, and make a recommendation for you of what you could save if you did things differently. You can take that business assessment and go give it to your accountant and say, I want you to do all these things for me, or you could figure it out for yourself, or you could come back and say, like, this actually feels worth it to me. I want to sign up with Lettuce. If you know someone who could benefit from this webinar, there's a link here. You can share it. We're doing these weekly in March. And if you have questions, you can email us at this support email address. We make a lot of really bad tax jokes at Lettuce, and we say you could take time to learn the difference between flow through income and distributions, or you could try Lettuce instead. Our goal, our purpose is to make this really easy for you so that you can spend your time, so that we can unlock the value inside your business, help you be more profitable, and you can spend your time focused on your clients.
And I put a question up that's come up in a couple of different ways, Gabrielle, about Lettuce. And, some people here use QuickBooks or FreshBooks, and they're questioning, like, okay, does this integrate? Is this separate?
This is a replacement. We take care of everything that QuickBooks and FreshBooks would be doing for you. The difference is, with QuickBooks and FreshBooks, you have to go take care of the integrations. You have to go in and actually do some work. We do it. The only thing that you might need to do is come in and check that we've categorized the deductions correctly. Sometimes we might ask you, is this a business? We can't tell, is this a business expense or a personal expense? Like, are we putting it in the right place? That's the only thing that you might need to do with Lettuce. If there's, something that you charged on your business card that maybe it looks like it might have been, a personal expense.
And we have a question up on the screen from Edward. Are S-Corps equally good for a service-driven business versus an IP goods-driven business?
So right now, and I think S-Corps are good for any small business. I can't imagine, I'm just trying to think through a scenario where they would not be good for why there would be a difference. What we do best right now, what we can handle are businesses who don't have full-time employees, who don't charge sales tax and have to pay sales tax. There's an added layer of complication around sales tax that we cannot yet handle, and who don't do a parts and labor model. Like, you are selling a service, and then you have to, there's a bit of an income threshold here. So we can work with any business like that. S-Corps are also good if you're a business that doesn't fit quite in that box, but is a small business. And S-Corp at a certain income level, there is a cost to managing this. You want to be probably above $60,000 or $75,000 a year. It's worth it for you.
Alicia is asking if there is an invoicing capability.
We don't have it today, but we will have it in the next quarter. So yes, you can invoice through Lettuce, have your clients pay you, and use the invoicing capability. Anyone who signs up today, kind of by the time you're up and running with your LLC and your S-Corp, the invoice capability should be right on the heels of that.
And here's a great question from Carolyn. So she's already an LLC. She uses a payroll service. She made herself an employee. Does she already have the benefit of an S corp as a W-2, or is she missing something else? I think a lot of that's a great question, Carolyn. A lot of people are in that situation.
Yeah, I can tell you that when we sit down and look at S-Corps that people are either running on their own or even having their accountant do, and we've done a lot of this, they are often not maximizing the benefits. I can't answer that question without really looking at your tax returns, Carolyn, but you could go in and do our tax calculator. You could take a look at, you could sign up for the business assessment, put your data in for the, and see what we're predicting that you could save with the additional, the health insurance, the retirement planning savings, and evaluate for yourself if you're missing something.
And Aisha's asking, what's the difference between the Pro and Premium plan, and can already established businesses sign up for Pro?
Yes. So if today, we can take you on if you're an existing sole prop or an existing LLC. We cannot yet take on existing S-Corps. We plan to do that later this year. I don't have an exact date for you on that. It costs $2.99 a month to have Lettuce. And again, there's free setup with LLC and S-Corp and a month free. What we have found is that when you look at typically what you're paying to use QuickBooks, to pay a payroll service monthly, to pay your accountant to do your returns, all of that ends up being not quite as much as the $2.99 a month. But if you then factor in your hourly rate for how much time you're spending doing that work, we typically are cheaper than that. And we save you more. So this more than pays for itself in almost every outcome.
In full transparency, I pay more than that already today. And I'm not with Lettuce. So any thoughts on Lettuce covering B Corps?
I have not had that question. I don't know the answer. I can find out and get back to you. I don't know what the tax rules are.
We will find out, Edward, and we will let you know. And Carolyn is asking, what bank is Lettuce affiliated with?
So we do the bank that we use is an actual bank. It's located in Texas, and it's called Transpecos Bank. That's where it's a building, in Texas, and that's the bank where your accounts will sit. And all of the transactions are, done the way most banking is done today, digitally.
Perfect. Did I miss any questions? I'm sorry, I was trying to follow.
Yes, an established single member LLC can sign up for Pro. Yes, absolutely, Edward. It is an FDIC insured bank. Edward and I actually know each other. So
Janine is asking about solos. I doubt it, Janine, because we just introduced our solos to Lettuce, unless anybody's been really quick on the draw. But I will probably do the free assessment so that I can, share, because I like to be confident. And I forgot to say at the beginning that I have a long-term relationship with Gabrielle, which is why I was so excited about her in this new position. She actually is a former client of my PR business, and we've maintained a relationship. And if you have been around Solo PR Pro or me for any period of time, you know that I operate with a great deal of integrity. And so I don't like to bring people to our audiences that there's not some level of trust. So, this is my endorsement of Gabrielle and her abilities, her expertise, how she operates. And I was so excited about this because for her, this is not just a job, it's a passion. And she really has this desire to, we share and are aligned on this, that we want to see small businesses succeed. So if anything, take advantage of the free offer, and then you can play around with the tool. You can see some things on your own and make the decisions for yourself. This is not intended to be a hard sell. It's just intended to give you information so that you have some things to think about, because we get these questions at Solo PR Pro all the time from people who are thinking about starting a business or just started, or those that have been around. And Gabrielle is right. You weed through a lot of legalese, and it's difficult to make this decision and find information on your own.
Thank you so much, Karen. Your endorsement of me and my work and what I do means so much. And I will say, I do think of this as a real passion. There are so many people who are running their own businesses and could be keeping more of what they earn, and looking at my own mistakes and trying so hard to do that and do the right thing for my family. Is painful to think about. And the only thing that makes me feel even a little bit better about it is that I can take what I have learned in this process and share it with all of you so that you can do better than I did. And our guarantee of refunding your fees, if we cannot do the right thing for you, if we cannot do the thing that we promised, is our promise to you that what we have built is better and will save you money and will put time back in your hands and take the stress off of running a part of your business that I know I personally did not enjoy. And we want to give you that opportunity.
I love that. And I think if we've covered all the questions, we don't want to hold you guys, but if there's anything else, or Gabrielle has a few more minutes and she can stick around, or if you think of something later, don't hesitate to email me personally or reach out to Gabrielle. We will be sharing this presentation, and we'll make sure that you guys have the information. While you're here, I also want to tell you another big question on the minds of solos these days is the DOL rule change. So I am going to be doing a live next week on the 14th with an expert on that topic to talk about the rule change and whether or not it impacts solos and what you need to know and what you need to do, because it's been a hot topic and everybody is really afraid that, California has changed the game and you're not going to be able to operate. So that's why I thought this was a good time also to talk about entities, because when you are a business entity, you do not have to worry about things like that. So we're so thankful for you. Please continue to spread the word, because this recording will be widely available. And again, we want to make sure that none of us is paying more money than we have to. And I've been in that boat too, trust me. Where it's overwhelming. And Gabrielle, you're absolutely right. You just want to run your business and do your thing. And then you're confronted with all of these things that you tried to understand before you started. And inevitably, initially you mess it up. You're like, what?
Yes.
So we appreciate you. We appreciate this mission. And anybody have any other questions? Okay. I'm so excited. It was so good to see all of you solos out there too. A lot of familiar faces and voices, and are smart people, and spread the word to your friends and colleagues so that they're not missing out either.
Thank you so much, Karen.
Thank you, Gabrielle. Everybody have a fantastic weekend. Stay safe and save money.